Namaste. We now start the new series on one of the philosophical book on Vedanta, which is considered as the fourth book after Prasthanatrayi, Yoga Vasishta Sara. The Sara meaning essence. This is a very short essence of about 32,000 verses condensed into 230, just to kindle the interest in this philosophical text. Yoga Vasishta is a philosophical text attributed to Valmiki, although the real author is Vashista. Other names of this text are Maha-Ramayana, Arsha Ramayana, Vasistha Ramayana, Yogavasistha-Ramayana and Jnana Vasishta. The complete text contains over 29,000 verses. The short version of the text is called Laghu Yogavasistha and contains 6,000 verses. A further condensation of this work was made long ago by an unknown author into about 230 couplets, divided into 10 chapters as Yoga Vasishta Sara, meaning essence of Yoga Vasishta, of which this translation is presented. This English version of Yoga Vasishta Sara is based on a translation made by Swami Sureshananda, a devotee of Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. Yoga Vasishta is presented as a discourse of sage Vashista to Prince Rama. The teachings are structured as stories and fables, with a philosophical foundation similar to those found in Advaita Vedanta, and is particularly associated with drsti-srsti subschool of Advaita, which holds that the whole world of things is the object of mind. The text is notable for expounding the principles of Maya and Brahman, as well as the principles of non-duality and its discussion of yoga. The text consists of 6 books. The book 1, titled Vairagya-prakaranam, meaning exposition of dispassion, which opens with Ram frustrated with the nature of life, human suffering and disdain for the world. The second book is titled Mumukshuvayahara-prakaranam, meaning exposition of the behavior of the seeker, which describes through the character of Ram the desire for liberation, the nature of those who seek such liberation, and the need for self-effort in all spiritual pursuits. The third book is titled Utpatti-prakaranam, meaning exposition of the arising and birth. It describes the birth of all creation as well as the birth of spiritual side of Ram. Fourth book is titled Sthiti-prakaranam, meaning exposition of the existence and settling, describes the nature of world and many non-dualism ideas with numerous stories. It emphasizes free will and human creative power. Fifth book is titled Upashama-prakaranam, meaning exposition of the patience and tranquility. It discusses meditation to dissolution of false dualism to feel oneness and its powers in liberating the individual. Sixth book is titled Nirvana-prakaranam, meaning exposition of the freedom and liberation. The last book describes the state of an enlightened and blissful Ram. The last book also has large sections on yoga. This Yoga Vasishta Sara, that is selected verses or essence of Yoga Vasishta, consists of about 230 couplets divided into 10 chapters, as of which this translation is presented. This Yoga Vasishta Sara consists of following 10 chapters. First is dispassion, second reality of world, the marks of a liberated person, fourth dissolution of the mind, Fifth, the destruction of latent impressions. Sixth, meditation on the self. Seventh, method of purification. Eighth, worship of the self. Ninth, exposition of the self. And 10th, nirvana. Let us now begin with the chapter 1, Dispassion. First verse, the translation is, Salutations to that calm effulgence which is endless and unlimited by space, time, etc., the pure consciousness, which can be known by experience only. Second, neither one who is totally ignorant nor one who knows it, that is truth, is eligible to study this book. Only who thinks I am bound, I must become free, is entitled to study it. Third, until one is definitely blessed by Supreme Lord, he will not find either the proper Guru or the right scripture. Fourth, just as a steady boat, O Ram, is obtained from a boatman, so also the method of crossing the ocean of samsara is learnt by associating with great souls. Fifth, the great remedy for the long-lasting disease of samsara is the enquiry, who am I? To whom does this samsara belong? Which entirely cures it. Sixth, not a day should be spent in a place which does not possess the tree of a wise knower of truth with its good fruit and cool shade. Seventh, the sages are to be approached even if they do not teach, even their talks in a light vein contain wisdom. The company of sages converts emptiness into fullness, death into immortality, and adversity into prosperity. Ninth, if sages were concerned solely with their own happiness, with whom could those tormented by the sorrows of samsara seek refuge? 10th, that which is imparted, O good soul, to a worthy disciple who has become dispassionate is the real wisdom. It is the real purport of the sacred texts and is also the comprehensive wisdom. 11th, following the customary method of teaching is only for preserving the tradition. Pure awareness results solely from the clarity of the disciples' understanding. 12th, the Lord cannot be seen with the help of sacred texts or the Guru. The self is seen by the self alone with the pure intellect. 13. All the arts acquired by men are lost by lack of practice. But this art of wisdom grows steadily once it rises. 14. Just as an ornament worn round the neck is considered lost through forgetfulness and is gained when the mistake is realized, so also the self is attained when the delusion is removed by the words of the Guru. 15. He is indeed an unfortunate person who, not knowing his own self, takes pleasure in sense objects, like one who realizes too late that the food eaten by him was poisonous. 16. That perverted man who, even after knowing that worldly objects are deceptive, still thinks of them is an ass, not a man. 17. Even the slightest thought immerses a man in sorrow, when devoid of all thoughts, he enjoys imperishable bliss. 18th. Just as we experience the delusion of hundreds of years in a dream lasting an hour, so also we experience the sport of Maya in our waking state. 19. He is a happy man, whose mind is inwardly cool and free from attachment and hatred, and who looks upon this world like a mere spectator. 20. He who has understood well how to abandon all ideas of acceptance and rejection, and who has realized the consciousness which is within the innermost heart, his life is illustrious. 21. On the dissolution of the body, the ether consciousness, limited by the heart, Hridayam, alone ceases to exist. People lament needlessly that the self is extinct. 22. When pots etc. are broken, the space within them becomes unlimited. So also, when bodies cease to exist, the self remains eternal and unattached. 23. Nothing whatever is born or dies anywhere at any time. It is Brahman alone, appearing illusorily in the form of the world. 24. The self is more extensive than space. It is pure, subtle, undecaying and auspicious. As such, how could it be born and how can it die? 25. All this is the tranquil, one without beginning, middle or end, which cannot be said to be existent or non-existent. Know this and be happy. 26. O Ram, it is indeed nobler to wander begging about the streets of the Chandalas with an earthen bowl in hand than to live a life steeped in ignorance. 27. Neither disease nor poison, nor adversity, nor any other thing in the world causes more suffering to men than such stupidity engender in their bodies. Here we conclude chapter 1 named Dispassion. We'll start our next narration on chapter 2, Unreality of the World, in the next narration video. Thank you for listening.